Y'all, my name is Aric Jackson. I'm all the way here from Atlanta, Georgia. Stay about 5 minutes away from Morehouse College, Spelman. Love it. Check it out. Everybody, put your right hand up. Everybody, put your other right hand. Put your left hand up. Keep them up. And if you like what I'm saying, I need y'all to give me steps up. Take it to the right. Take it to the left. And roll it down. Put your right hand up again. And put your left hand up again. And if you really... Okay, if you're going to get up and dance, at least put both your hands up. How you going to get up and just do one hand, do two hands? No, get up, dance, it's on you, let's go. Put your right hand up again. And put your left hand up again. And if you really like what I'm saying, I need you to not make that face while you dancing. Ladies, when y'all do it, I need y'all to put that little rubber neck thing y'all got going on. Some of you see, she got it. She's like, don't be scared. Just that dizzy, all right. All right, before I go any further, I have to say this. I have to say this. Today, I'm going to keep it real with you, and today I'm going to share some stuff with you that you may not like. So if y'all tired of fake and phony people, do y'all want me to get up here and be fake and phony with y'all? Yes or no? No? No, good to see you, good to see you. So, I'm not. Now, this is what I'm not getting ready to do. I'm not getting ready to get up here and say, your life is wonderful, your life is grand, and it's full of rainbow and sunshine. I'm not going to do that. Your face and say to you, and this is how you should change your life. Don't be. Destroy your box. The second thing that we're going to talk about is don't be to do you. And then the third thing that we're going to talk about today, baby, is don't be to get too mad. Don't be to destroy your box. Now, you guys, when I'm talking about your box, I'm not talking about your comfort zone, but I just want to check in. How many of y'all actually have somebody saying to you all the time, get out the box, get out the box, get out the box? Raise your hand because you're trying to make your friends look good and you want to make sure that you hold on to your friends who, by the way, probably ain't doing nothing for you. You won't be somebody else. Stop it. I ain't preaching, but I'm saying something. But y'all, when I'm talking about destroying your lives, I'm talking about being that person who's not willing to give up the friends that are pulling you down, all because you're afraid that they're going to talk about you. When I'm talking about destroying your box, I'm talking about that very thing that happened to you just last week that all of a sudden changed you from looking a certain way or doing certain things with certain people. Stop living your life for somebody else. And today, over this break, start living your life for the most important person in the world, and that person is you. Some of y'all are living your whole life is structured because of the opinions of your friends or people around you. Y'all, I used to live like that. And literally, it ended me up in the hospital because I was so stressed out. And when I say literally ended up in the hospital, I ended up in the hospital with ulcers. I was in a relationship that was so toxic to me. And by the way, if you in here, you got a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and you with somebody and you know they toxic, but you feel like ain't nobody else gonna love me or care for me the way my boo does, you know what? It's time for you to do a check-up from the neck up. Let me say this to you. You weren't there. You weren't there when I grew up. And because my dad was not man enough to be around and take care of his son, I had to live with my mom. And my mom was working 2 jobs. You weren't there. You weren't there when I had to take care of my baby sister because my mom was working the 2 jobs and she couldn't afford a babysitter. So I couldn't do sports. I couldn't get involved in any activities. I couldn't go outside and play. Why? Because I was the one picking my sister up from school, bringing her home, fixing her dinner, helping her with her and I was the one who was answering that question that she would ask every single night. When will I see Mom? You weren't there. You weren't there when my mom lost not one, but both of those jobs. And when she lost those jobs, we ended up on public assistance with food stamps, and literally at the beginning of every month, it was a happy time because we actually had food in the house that we could eat. But as the month started to draw to a close, we didn't have any food, and all of a sudden, I'm starting to say, no, Mom, you can have an extra piece of chicken. No, sis, you can have some of the bread, because I did not want them to go to bed hungry, but I was the one who did. You weren't there. Then all of a sudden we had some ham on the bone that was really good, and we had some homemade cornbread that my grandmother made, and to top it all off, we had some red Kool-Aid. And you know, we're sitting at the table, everybody's eating, and the food is good, and then all of a sudden you got my funny looking sister sitting right here, my mom, and my grandmother, and my grandfather, and my two aunts sitting across the table, and I'm looking around, and then all of a sudden I'm eating, the food is good, and I kind of stop, and I look up, and I say, where's Dad? My grandmother slows down. She stops. She looks up at me. And she gives me that look to say, we're not going to have that conversation now. She puts her head back down. She continues to eat. I do the same. I'm trying to eat this macaroni, and I'm trying to remember how good it was tasting, because it's not tasting so good. And the ham, all of a sudden, that was once juicy, it's starting to taste a little bit dry. The cornbread is not tasting as good, and the Kool-Aid is starting to taste bitter. And all of a sudden, the food is just not good, and I'm not enjoying myself, because all of a sudden I have this burning question in the back of my head. And before I realize that, I look up and I shout out at the table, where's my dad? My grandmother stops, puts her utensils down, she pushes away from the table, she gets up, she grabs my hand, she pulls me into the kitchen, and then she sits me down in the chair, she picks up the phone, and all I hear her say is, I don't care where you are, get here now. An hour later, I'm sitting downstairs in my grandfather's office, and I'm sitting on my dad's lap, and I'm freaking out because I know my asthma pump is at home, but with every breath that I could grab, with everything in me that I could do, I would say, but Dad, why don't you want me? Dad, why don't you love me? Dad, what did I do? Did I do something, Dad? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And in that moment, my dad says to me, I'm sorry, son. I'm just too busy. I was 9 years old. And in that moment, that's when my box got built. This is my box. I'm not good enough. I'm not wanted. And if my own flesh and blood won't even take time out to spend an hour with me, I'm not loved. And I walked out of that day into my life with this box. And